Of Otto Warmbier, the sad case, 17 months after he was originally arrested by the North Korean regime, he has finally been returned to his family. His release was announced this morning by the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, who provided few details about how exactly it happened. Unfortunately, not all is well, though. Warmbier is in a coma, reportedly has been in one for more than a year. The North Koreans say, and you, of course, cannot trust what they say, that he developed botulism, it's a form of food poisoning, and fell into a coma after taking a sleeping pill. That's what they said. We don't know if that's true. Regardless of the circumstances, though, Fred and Cindy Warmbier have been reunited with their son. We'll have an exclusive interview with the two of them tomorrow from Cincinnati about Otto's release. Despite the release of Otto Warmbier, 3 other Americans do remain imprisoned in North Korea, and the country is still a nuclear threat to the United States. Does this new development mean anything for U.S.-North Korean relations? Rick Grinnell might know. He's the former U.S. spokesman at the UN. He joins us tonight. So, Rick, what can you tell us about the release of Otto Warmbier? We don't have a lot of details.
Well, first of all, this is a total win for diplomacy. This has been happening for a while. My sources have told me that specifically Rex Tillerson brought the case to President Trump in the Oval Office within the first 30 days of President Trump taking over. And President Trump looked at Secretary Tillerson and said, do everything you can. You have the full assets of the U.S. government to get this done. From there was a series of diplomacy. In Norway, we had our diplomats meeting with the Swedes, who do have a post inside North Korea. The Swedes were then allowed to go visit Otto. In that meeting is when the Swedes were able to confirm to the U.S. diplomats that this was a very serious situation, that he was in a coma. From there, we went to the what we call the New York channel for all North Korea diplomacy, and that's because the North Koreans do have a mission to the United Nations, and so we can meet with them up in New York under the auspices of the UN setting. And so U.S. diplomats then met there with the North Koreans, and the North Koreans said, come get them. And a plane went, U.S. government plane with U.S. diplomats landing in North Korea, and they took him out. Now, Tucker, one thing to note here is that he was released. No Taliban prisoners were swapped. No planes full of money were given. This was pure diplomacy by the Trump administration. Rex Tillerson and Donald Trump made this a priority. It wasn't a priority under President Obama. Otto was in a coma for more than a year under the Obama presidency, and he just lingered there. It's really atrocious, and kudos to those who actually believe in diplomacy still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm withholding judgment on some of that. I don't think we have all the details, and I think there are questions about how the State Department under both presidents treated the Warmbier family. We're going to find out a lot more about that tomorrow, but there is the sad coda to the case, which is that he is apparently not well and still in a coma. We'll find out. So what does this mean? Does this suggest...
One thing...
Yes.
One thing just to add, Tucker, is that, diplomacy only works if you have the head of the government, the president of the United States, making it a priority. You can't do other stuff. So, if John Kerry was fighting for this, we don't know about it because it wasn't a priority from the Obama White House.
It was not I can say that for certain, having followed this story for a while. It was not a priority for the Obama White House. It was not a priority for John Kerry, and it's shameful. And I hope it was a priority for the State Department under this president. Does this suggest some changing relationship between North Korea and the United States? Why did they do this now? Was there some incentive offered? And what about the 3 Americans who remain in that country?
Well, first of all, one thing to note is that the State Department actually believes that there are more than 3. The media have been reporting 3, but we have high suspicions that there are other Americans inside there, too. What this really means for diplomacy is it's a good day for diplomacy. Whenever we're able to talk to the North Koreans directly and to, take a small step like this and reassure them that we're going to pick them up, we're going to bring them home, and we thank them for this one little thing, it does begin to build some sort of confidence. We've got a long way to go because the North Koreans are not a rational government, and we, know that they've been trying to put the pieces together for a nuclear program. So we've got some very serious and tough issues faced before us, but the New York channel, when it comes to diplomacy, utilizing that New York channel is a very good thing.
It's a disgusting government run by monsters, and they hurt this boy, and they let him languish in a coma for over a year. And you would love for there to be some way to punish them for that, really punish them for that. But there probably isn't one, is there?
I think there's a whole list of things that the North Koreans should be punished for. This is one of them,
especially this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think, though, that the special relationship that Donald Trump is pushing with the Chinese on, and we have seen some action from the Chinese when it comes to North Korean diplomacy, unlike at any other time, I do think that we can do more to push the Chinese. We haven't considered banking sanctions. We haven't considered some of the really tough sanctions that would get the Chinese government's attention. I think that we should. I think that we should have the full tool belt, so to speak, of the U.S. government at the disposal, because this is a very serious issue, not because of just Otto, but certainly because they are a threat and they have a motive to come at the United States, and they are trying to get the tools to send a missile our way. So I think what we must do is make this a top priority with the Chinese, and we haven't done that enough.
You can't hurt American citizens with impunity, or else, why have a U.S. government, in my opinion. Rick, thanks a lot for joining us. Great to see you tonight.
Thanks, Tucker.